Okay, in this video, what I'm going to talk about is 3 fundamental areas to help you grow your business in sort of a fast world of the video production world, with this forever emerging new talent coming into the scene, lots and lots of people buying cameras cheap. It's never been more competitive. And I think these 3 things, if you just focus on them, are going to help you really scale up your video production business. Okay, so I'm just going to say, in this fast world of video production, revenue and sales is the lifeblood of your business. Without a steady, reliable sales process, your business risks fluctuating. And this is the big thing, like the up and down of a business between periods of uncertain growth. To ensure your video business thrives on a rock solid revenue, follow these 3 essential steps. And look, it's probably all no particular order. I think the very first one should have been clear offer. But I'm going to talk about script. Now, having your own customized script is not about like having this perfectly scripted word for word script, but it's having a process when you're having a conversation so that you can guide that client to their own self-realization by creating questions that potentially create internal pressure. I talk a lot about internal pressure inside the Brand Story Creator program that we run, talking about how we can ask very, very sort of sophisticated questions that get the client to come to their own self-realization by creating that pressure within inside them, so that they can come to an epiphany moment that, wow, this has actually been going on. Like, one of the examples of that question from the script that we help you with is, how long has this been going on? You know, like, if there's a problem with content, if there's a problem with conversion, if there's a problem with emotional connection, how long have you guys been trying to achieve that result? Like, how long has that been going on? And when you ask that question, not a lot of people really realize how long they've been doing stuff. So working from a very well structured script can really help you amplify and give you structure to your call. So when you do get a referral, when you do get a fresh lead come in, maybe from your ads or from your organic outreach, you're going to have a very, very ABC kind of way of communicating that is proven and it's tested and it works. But it's not about learning it word for word. It's just about giving yourself structure and guidelines to be able to ask the right questions. One of the best types of scripts is when you know your script off by heart and then you infuse performance into it. You infuse, when I say performance, I don't mean you don't want to make it feel performance, but you want to make it feel like you own it, meaning you put your personality, your flavor all over it by the way you would say it, but it gives you, again, structure. That's number one thing you should look at in building your business, is your pitch deck, your script, your way of communication, your creative methodology. And then that leads me to the offer. The offer itself is really sort of the heart of a business. I would say that the sales script would be the blood and this would be the heart. We'll get to the sales process in a second, but having a clear offer means you can scale. Having a very well-defined thing that you're going to do and make for someone that has real impact, especially if it's something repeatable that you can hone and perfect in both delivery and presentation and the impact that you give them. But your offer just needs to be simple and easy to understand. You don't want to make this big, massive, sophisticated offer that is creating this energy of complexity, and too much customization will leave you doing a lot of customized work, which in itself is a business model in itself. But having a very well-defined offer can actually help you scale and get work out done quicker. And it can also, as you collect insights and become better and better at it, and the offer gets more and more better by using what we call the insight loop, where basically you sell through hypothesis. When you first sell an offer, you sell it, which you think that the client would need. And then you get the results, you get the feedback, and then you go back to the drawing board, you refine the offer, and then you put it back out into the market. This is like the cycle of like trying to create a better and better and better offer. A lot of companies do this. They start an offer through hypothesization or guesswork, what they think the market wants. They sell a few, they get the feedback, they make it better, they refine it, and then they put it back out into the market. And they keep washing that offer until it's an absolute diamond. And that's the key here, is having an offer that is really going to create impact, but is repeatable and is easy to scale. The third point that I want to make that I think is really, and this is obviously outside of lead gen. Lead gen is obviously a really big part of what I talk about. But leads is one thing. You can get as many leads as you want, but if you don't have that well-defined sort of flow of conversation, when you actually do get in front of someone, you can get really messed up. And then the other thing is your offer itself. Like if you don't have something of value that's going to really change someone's life or give them an impact or give them more money, more revenue, more conversion, help them free up their time or something that your production company does, then no one's going to buy it. And then the last thing that I see a lot of problem is friction to do business with the freelancer, the director, the video business, the video agency. Like friction, making things really, really, really difficult to work with you. It is an art in itself because it requires a bit of systems. For me, it was a very simple invoice. When I was running my agency, and I probably would do things a lot different now, is I didn't have heavy contracts. But you want to remove every element of the friction completely. So it's not hard to do business. Some of these apps that they sell, like even if they don't do something in 2 taps, like they're a failure, they're a flop because people don't want to make it. You don't want to make it hard for them, but people don't want that either. You know what I mean? So lack of speed is the biggest form of friction. So not being able to do the deal very quickly and easily. For example, waiting just 5 minutes to call a lead after it filled out the contract form reduces the likelihood of closing by 21 times, right? That's if you get a lead and you don't hit them fairly quickly or get to them in time, you're 21 times less chance of actually closing. So to solve this, all the action in the sales process should be templated to allow for rapid action and to be geared towards pushing the deal forward. So I wanted to make this very quick video just to let you know that if you implement these 3 points of focus, like if you are lost in your business and you're just thinking about some of the key areas that you should be working on, these have had the biggest impact in my business. Was having a script to work from, having a very clear, defined, really impactful offer, and a seamless sales process. So like to give you further examples of like how I ran my business. So when I was working with Humanize You, with my business, my agency was called Humanize You. I just worked from a script, which was my creative methodology, right? So I would have 4 to 10 questions, between 4 and 10 questions that I would ask, and it would be very much like, what's the specific outcome you're looking to do from this project? That was very important to me. I was like, how long is that taking you to do? Are you at a point sort of where you're ready to draw a line and really sort of go all in on this? Or are you kind of just weighing up your options? Is this a now thing or a later thing? That's a really, really one of the big 2 questions that I have to ask. And then understanding what the budget is a really good question, right? Obviously, there's more questions to it. Like, hey, have you been doing this internally alone? Have you worked with other people? Have you had any other support outside of the brand so far with content or with your storytelling or your brand story, impact story? They're questions that I would ask to sort of, so you're doing this alone? They're sort of questions that would have them looking internally to themselves saying, well, I am doing it all alone. We've been trying to get our message out there for ages. It's not clear and concise the way we want it to be. We're not being represented the way we should. As questions like, how much trust on a scale from 1 to 10 do you think your marketing at the moment is currently creating? Like, that's a powerful question to ask because it has them searching internally, like, is our content up to scratch? Is it really what we should be doing? Should we be working with an external creative director, right? And that gave me structure. And there was a second part to that script was when they would ask me to pitch. I never pitched an idea to them. For me, what I did was I would just explain my creative methodology. I would explain pre-production, production, and post-production, and I would talk about mainly the ideation stage of how we would come to the idea. I also told them a lot that I would very much focus on telling a humanizing story. Big part of what our agency did was humanize brands, right? Would take the CEO or someone that was would tell the story through the customer's eyes and maybe create an impact story. But the whole ideology was to humanize them, to create a connection, to raise the perceived value, but also on the same hand, to build awareness and trust. And so they could use them assets for things like ads and content and mainly putting it on their website as a centerpiece. piece of content. And I would explain that methodology as my pitch. And because, it was very clearly defined, and that ties into the seamless sales process, is I made it the same every single time. I didn't want to go out and spend 2 weeks customizing a proposal to someone. I just wanted to ask very dynamic, sophisticated questions that really built up that internal pressure that allowed them to come to their own self-realization. And then I would present just my methodology. And it was the same each and every time. My clear offer was a brand story. That was my first point of doing business with us. The second point would be something like impact stories. After impact stories, I would sell ads. After ads, then and only then would I go to disposable media, which was ongoing, like Instagram Reels, YouTubes, etc., to create more and more awareness. But I always felt like, let's work inward, outward. Let's get the core stories done, the ads done, which is good revenue sort of assets for them. And then obviously like awareness of just showing up every day in their feed. The sales process that I had was very much always done on Zoom. It was done through first call was me gathering information and what I would call like a discovery call, asking very, very powerful questions, and then me going away and then sort of thinking about what I was going to do with them. Now, I would think high level and say to them, look, this is my idea, but my idea was always the same. But the only part that I did different in each call would take the information and then tailor the ideation stuff by dropping all the information they've given to me in the first call. That's the only part that I did customize, but I didn't go away for like weeks on end and create these massive proposals. And then the back end was explaining how we would work together in the process. And then I would just lock it down by saying, would you like to move on this? Would you like to make a decision? I always said at the start of the call, particularly the second call, today the main goal is to make a decision whether we're going to work together. And I would say that also on the first call, that the second call we're going to have is when we make the decision. And I would get an indication of budget, obviously, on that first call before I went to that second call to make it sort of worth my while, to make sure that I was going to go in with the right numbers, so I wasn't blowing it out or I wasn't like losing it. But these three things can really help you feel like you've got more structure to building the business in terms of new acquisition. Having a script or some kind of pitch deck or something to work from as a foundation so that you're not sounding like a robot, but you know it works and you know it's good and you know it's going to help the client make a decision or an informed decision. Having a clear offer and concise offer that you know is impactful and that will actually help them, and then having that all wrapped up into a process that allows you to sort of repeatedly and systematically be able to approach it each and every single time, whether you use sort of things like contract softwares like PandaDoc, or if you use CRM systems like Go High Level or SalesMate or whatever you use, but having that as a process so that you know where everything is at all times. These three things can absolutely add a tremendous amount of value to your business. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please hit the like, hit the bell, ask me any questions underneath. And if you are interested in the 500K brand story creator program that we run, please reach out either on IG or just email me at michael@michaelhanson.tv. Thanks.